Us for the Trio Benefits Fall Caucus meeting. Great to see some of the friendly faces around. We've certainly had an excellent morning, and we're looking forward to the last couple of sessions before we take a break and come back for our opening ceremonies. A couple of quick housekeeping notes before we go any further. Just a reminder of our COVID-19 policies that you must wear your mask at all times, even when seated. We also encourage you to sanitize your hands every time that you move around. And we do thank you for all cooperating with the vaccination pass and proof of vaccination. We're proud, of course, to say that everyone in this room is fully vaccinated, and that's certainly ensuring that we are leading the way and leading by example. So to that end, I just want to remind you that if you do get up to ask questions at the microphone, that you please not touch the microphone, that you stand back. You can take off your mask as you speak into the microphone, but I ask that you do mask up when you step back. Please follow all the signage that you see throughout the facility, especially areas where there is one-way traffic, such as the hallway by the meeting room. And most importantly, please be kind to one another. Obviously, we're all in this together. And as our conference theme says, it certainly starts with us. So I'd like to thank our sponsors for making this event possible, and one of our very valued sponsors is indeed Trio Benefits. So I'd like to thank them for the contribution to the nutrition break moments ago. It was good coffee and good muffins, and first time I think I've ever seen everything wrapped. So it's an interesting time we live in, that's for sure, but it is ensuring that we stay safe. So I encourage all of you to visit the trade show. And just note that the prize draws will take place after 3 p.m. on Friday. You've got to be in attendance to claim your prize. And last but not least, the grand prize draw will take place at the banquet. And of course, that prize, as you've heard throughout the day, is a trip for two anywhere that Provincial Airlines flies. So I'd like to acknowledge a couple of people, both here at the head table and in the room as well, as we go through this caucus meeting. I'm sure Tony will do the same, but I'd like to acknowledge the members of the Trio Board of Directors, of which I am a member. I am the M&L representative representing your interests, and it's a great honor to do so. We have to my right Terry Taylor, the General Manager of Trio Benefits. We also have to my left Tony Pollard, who is the President, and Doug Brake, who is the Actuary for Mercer Canada. So we're going to start out with Tony, and then we're going to hear from Doug and then Terry. So Tony, I'll bring you up, please. We'll this down very quickly for you. I'm sure I didn't spit on it, but just to be safe. Just to be safe. There you go.
Thank you, Brad. I'd like to welcome everybody here to the Trio meeting, and my first kick at the cat, I guess, as president. I'm certainly pleased that I was elected as president, and I hope that I can serve over the next 10-year period anyway. It's been interesting times. We are a provider of health care benefits, group insurance, and as well pension plan. And they are particularly complicated pieces of business at times. So I am certainly not an expert, and I will have to pass that off to Doug and Terry and Laurie after I just give a brief update as to exactly how we're structured. We're structured mainly, we are all municipal related, so we are structured in 8 board members. 2 are elected officials, 2 are employee directors, there's 1 PMA director, 1 M&L director, and we have 2 at-large directors. And the purpose of the at-large directors are to try to maintain some continuity. As we know, every 4 years, and sometimes even sooner than that, through election processes and attrition or whatever, people leave the boards and we lose a lot of our expertise. So by keeping our at-large, we try to hold on to that expertise for a little longer period of time. As Brad had mentioned, I am currently the president. I am also a councillor in the town of Torbay and the chief administrative officer for the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips. And as Portugal Cove St. Phillips, we are in both plans, as is Torbay at the present time. Vice President Dennis Kelly is Marystown and a director at large. Unfortunately, Dennis could not be with us today. I'm not sure if he's on Zoom or looking virtually, as we know about the COVID breakout in Marystown, so folks from that area didn't get a chance to come this way. Carol Ann Smith, Torbay is a director at large. Carol Ann has been on the board for a few years, previous council member at Torbay, but is a director at large with some of that longer term, I guess, expertise, at least at the board level. Keith Keating, Marystown, is the elected official representative as well. And as same with Dennis, he was not able to be with us today because of the COVID breakout and the fact that I guess anyone in that area stays at home. Glenn Clark, elected official director from Victoria. Glenn has been on the board on and off, actually, I think for a period of years. So we welcome his expertise as usual. Liz Davis, CBS, is employee director. Brian Hudson from Pasadena is a PMA representative director, and Brad Power, as he had mentioned, represents M&L on the board. So it's a good mix, and hopefully we got all interests covered off in the board. We always find that, I guess, turnout for TRIO is not usually that great because either people don't focus on the plan as much because it's not an everyday conversation, but I think in people's eyes it should be. It is a big dollar value. The pension alone that we manage, or that Mercer manages on our behalf, is $190 million in assets. So that is a significant portfolio, and as I said before, the complexities around that go far beyond my pay grade and requires actuaries and other experts in the field to maintain a proper mix of assets so that we get a proper return. And the return on those investments actually accounts for 70% or up to 70% of the benefit in the plan, so that it really serves to have a good return on assets so that we don't have to increase employers' contributions. And on that note, I don't think that we will have to increase special payments this year. On the healthcare side, there are also some complexities, and recently has been biological drugs, and this year, I guess, and last year has been a shift in usage of long-term benefits, long-term debt benefits. So I guess we just have to adapt to those changes and see how it all falls out at the end of the day. Currently have 90 towns on the health plan, currently 57 towns in the pension plan, and 30 combined in both plans. So as I said, I'm not the expert in the area, so I'm going to hand this off now to Doug Brook, who is actuary with Mercer and oversees a lot of the investment work, and he will speak much more intelligently than I will on that topic. So thank you very much, and I pass it over to Doug.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Doug Brook. And there's my presentation. That's good. So I just want to give you a little bit of an update on the pension plan this past year and give you a sense of kind of where things are headed. Just to kind of put it in perspective, the pension plan at TRIO has been in place since 1978. So that's about 40 odd years or so that the plan's been operating. And what we see is that currently, as Tony mentioned, assets are now at about $188 million. The plan really goes all across the province. So there are 57 different municipal units. We have about 750 active members and about another 300 or so retirees collecting benefits from the plan. That represents coverage of about 70% of the towns in the province that provide pension benefits. And there are, of course, some other towns that provide their own pension plans independently. This is a chart that shows you the asset values in the pension plan in about the last 12 years or so. And for me, it's very instructive because it's starting at about $40 million in 2009. You'll see that the plan doubled in size by about 2014 or so, and now is currently at about $188 million. As Tony said, it's the contributions that go into the plan that are very important, but even more so, it's how well they're invested and how that asset grows over time. I'm very pleased to see that the plan is growing and growing strongly year after year. Part of it is good investment returns, but the other important part, you guys, is that we're seeing new members come into the plan through existing towns and also new towns joining the plan. And in fact, we've recently had some defined contribution towns that were sponsoring their own arrangements transfer their whole plans into the town. So if you have a defined contribution arrangement in a small town, you might want to think about transferring in as well. Right now, based on projections, it looks like we're going to be just fine for special payments holding the line into next year. But of course, every year, we're always keeping an eye on the December 31st values. That's what really drives how contributions would have the increase next year. Right now, the projections look very good for them staying stable and not increasing next year. And knock on wood, that's where it's going to stay. Anyway, that's what I've got on the pension plan for now, and I'm happy to answer questions later. But right now, I'll hand it over to Terry to talk a little bit about the group benefits program. Oh, sorry.
Okay. I'm not Terry, and I apologize, and I have to apologize again. I did not acknowledge the staff, and for that I am truly sorry. I just want to say we have great staff as well. Terry as general manager, and Mary Galway, who is our expert on the insurance side of things, and unfortunately Mary had to leave earlier, so she is not with us. And now I'll pass it over to Terry.
I'm always impressed when the actuary says 2000 or 1978, was it? Was something like 40 years ago. He should sort of know that, I would think. Anyway, my colleague Mary Galway did prepare a comprehensive report on outlining the negotiations she's had with the insurers for the coming renewal period. And the intention was that we were going to read that. I'm proposing something a little different. I'm going to highlight the tops of the trees in that report, but we will mail it to you on Monday so you can read it for yourself. But it's a good report in many events, in many situations, and just let me go through them quickly. We do about $4.6 million a year in healthcare premiums. 75% of that, about 75%, is devoted to health and dental. And I'm glad to say, happy to say, that there will be no increase in either the health or the dental rate in 2022. When we went out to tender in 2018, we convinced Sun Life that they should freeze the life insurance rates for 3 years. And so 2019, 2020, 2021, there was no increase in the life rate. This year that came off, and they wanted an increase in 2022. They wanted 9 cents a thousand, and we were able to get them to agree to 5 cents a thousand. So if you insured for $50,000, it's going to cost you an extra $2.50 a month. $2.50. For those of you who are in short-term disability, the good news there is your premiums are going to be decreasing by 24%. Short-term disability apparently wasn't utilized that much. We do, however, have some relatively bad news for the long-term disability. For the 5 years that ended in June 2021, we had collected, give or take, $3 million in premium over 5 years and encountered a little over $4 million in claims. And you all know what that means. It means that prices are going up. And if you are a town that has long-term disability and doesn't have any claims going, it's not going to be as bad for you as those that do. We have roughly 600 people insured in the long-term disability. And the industry average is about 1 to 2 claims per year per 1,000 insureds. We have 30 claims outstanding at the moment. And right in this year alone, we're looking at a $750,000 excess. So if your premiums will reflect your usage of the plan when it comes to that. The good news is that next week, Mary will be contacting every municipality insured into the plan and giving them their 2022 renewal rates. On the average, again, it's going to be somewhere total between 4% and 8% increase. That includes everybody, whether they have the LTD or not. So it's 4% to 8%, but Mary will be able to give you that information next week. And I think that pretty well covers it. If I have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them for you.
Mayor Mike Doyle, Harbour Main Chapel of Lakeview. I am a safety professional by trade, and I have to say this information regarding long-term disabilities is something that the municipalities is something that maybe we need to start talking about. If we're seeing an increase in long-term disability cases across our organizations, this may possibly reflect on our abilities to keep our employees safe, whether this be in a physical manner or a mental health matter. And so I think maybe the conference next year, I really encourage that we have a more in-depth discussion what can we do as municipalities to drive down this long-term disability increase? This is something that definitely we need to start talking about because it reflects on our ability to keep our workers safe. If I could just mark that for an agenda item for 2022, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Brad, you got a note of that, I presume, eh? Good. All right. Thank you for that. Anything else that you'd like to bring up? All right, well, thank you. Again, your 2022 renewal rates, renewal proposals will be out in the mail to you next week. A copy of Mary's presentation will also be sent to you, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Tony and Doug, and of course, a big thank you to the members of the TRIO Benefits Board of Directors who put in a lot of work and effort and time to make this organization run. It's certainly a great organization that's doing some excellent work on our behalf. So we are finishing up this session early. A big thank you to everybody for that. Not very often we get an early session, it's usually late sessions. So I will take one quick opportunity to thank all of our other sponsors, including the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs, Cal Legro, Newfoundland Power, Offshore Fishery Association, Stuart McKelvey, who we heard here at lunch, ExploreNet, NL911, TRIO Benefits, Canada, Canoe Procurement Canada, Johnson Insurance, Fish Food and Allied Workers, RICO, Municipal Assessment Agency, who are up for their update now shortly, City of Corner Brook, City of Mount Pearl, Provincial Airlines, Trek Consulting, Construction Signs Limited, Town Suite, Steel Hotels, College of the North Atlantic, TELUS Business, Granger Canada, Eastern Audio, and finally IntelliVote, who are running our election of officers. So just a quick reminder, as I just noted, we do have the Municipal Assessment Agency up shortly to provide their update, their annual update. We have a big event tonight, our opening ceremonies. We encourage you to drop by. We have an excellent guest speaker, the president of the Halapu Band, and we also have a couple of guest speakers from Newfoundland Power, who are great supporters of this organization and this conference. And one final plug for our COVID-19 policies. Please be sure as you flow throughout the facility that you follow the signage, keep your masks on, sanitize your hands, and of course, be kind to one another, and we'll all certainly get through this weekend safe and sound. So thank you very much, and we'll be up shortly with Municipal Assessment Agency.